Welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. This is the show to encourage you to live your life to the fullest and do fun work that fuels your lifestyle. Hi, I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. Every week, you'll be introduced to amazing guests, useful resources, and inspirational stories. You'll discover opportunities and perspectives to shape your version of living full and working fun. Hi there, and welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. This season, we're exploring the theme, Don't Let the Start Stop You. It's a powerful reminder that while beginnings can be daunting, they're also the gateway to growth, success, and happiness. Throughout this season, we're discussing how to push through those initial difficulties and take that important first step towards your big goals, even when it feels overwhelming. I'm Gayla Scrivener, here with my co-host, Fran Attilio. Hey there, Fran.
Hey, Gayla.
I'm excited about today because we're talking about content creation, and I find that folks that I work with struggle with consistently producing their content. And I just wanted to offer an alternative solution in how to produce and a different thought process in producing content. Before we get started, I wanted to specifically talk about, instead of this broad subject of all content and everything, but this philosophy can help with all kinds of different projects. But specifically, let's talk about authority content. Can you remind everybody really what we're talking about when we talk about authority content?
Authority content is where you share what you know, your expertise, what makes you special, different, unique within your field, with whether even if it's just how you approach business, but it's what makes you stand out. There's space for everyone in every industry, but what makes you different so you can find your audience?
I tend to work with mainly consultants or coaches in the business field, and they help their clients with a lot of different concepts. They coach or consult in many minute ways. But the authority content can be for other industries as well. Let's talk about health and wellness industry. A massage therapist, for example. You can establish yourself as an authority in your niche. I worked with a heating, air, an HVAC company, plumbing and HVAC company, and authority content for them worked really well. What does authority content come in the form of? When we talk about authority content, we're talking about blog articles, maybe video or podcast. Yep. Just being able to get your thoughts out there, and that's specifically what we're going to be talking about today. And what I have found, and I found it within myself, within my clients, and maybe you, Fran, have had challenges. When you think of producing authority content, sometimes that is overwhelming because it's like, okay, the very first step when you're planning authority content is you need to set a production schedule for yourself, a publishing schedule, if you will. Because everything about content marketing, I liken it to like a newspaper. A newspaper way back when, they'd have the publishing schedule. So if it's a every week type of newspaper every day, oh my gosh, that would be, I don't know if I could do that, but you'd have a publication schedule. When you set that publication schedule, then you move backwards on, okay, what am I going to publish? And so many times when I have a client that comes to me, they struggle with that consistency piece and getting started with producing a blog. And let's just talk blogs. So the very first thing that I do is we talk about how consistent do you want to be? Is it a once a month, a once a week type of blog production? And once we establish that, sometimes what happens is that they produce that piece of content right before it's supposed to publish, that they've got that date in there. What does that cause?
Oh my gosh, that causes panic, that causes errors, that causes you not to get the right full thing out there. Content, especially authority piece, is like anything in nature. It needs some time to like kind of nourish and marinate and compost and grow. So if you try to rush it, it could be good or good enough, but it may not be what you intended or what really, when you write that piece of content, you're like, oh, this is it. This is me coming out on paper or in the blog or on the video. So having a better plan, I love that. We call it flowing backwards. So you set a goal and then you flow backwards to, okay, what do you need to get there? It's important. When I do anything creative personally, I do it and then I leave it overnight. It cannot be published until I've looked at it again 24 hours later. And then even then I'll send it to someone else and have them double check it. And then I'll read it again. When you don't give yourself that time, then it's like half, it's not the full presence. It's like half done.
You're giving yourself undue stress.
Yeah.
And I'd like to give an alternative. And what we're talking about is batch work, batching your content creation. The concept that I have is, let's say that you decide in your plan that you want to produce a monthly blog post. And maybe you even go so far in your planning session, it's like, hey, seasonally, I know kind of what I want to talk about. I'm going to go to the HVAC type of company. That's something that's a little bit out of the ordinary on thinking of authority content, but you can look at seasonally, like in January, maybe you want to talk about scheduling certain maintenance things that you need to do for your HVAC or plumbing. Maybe winter, January, maybe in the dead of winter, maybe you want to remind people about pipes not freezing. Come spring, maybe you need to talk about the importance of spring HVAC checks and changing out your filters and this, that, and the other. And so there's different seasons that you might want to remind people of certain things, and that translates to anything. So in your plan, you might know topics, but then I want to urge you to think about this. Set aside time and have nothing else that you're doing, but set aside time to work up 3 months worth of authority piece, 3 months of blog. So once every 3 months, you would work up 3 blogs. You free yourself of even thinking about it for 2 months at a time. And what you're doing is being able to adhere to that publishing schedule without stress. So many times, we get involved in the daily things and we put what we need to do for our own business down at the bottom. And there's always something to do. But if you commit once a month in this case, batching, I know some people that create their podcasts and they block out a whole week once a quarter and record, write up their show notes, everything, get their images ready, all of that stuff that goes with podcast production, they would do within that week for a quarter at a time. I would chunk it down though, because that is intense to basically take vacation from your business for a whole week for content production. But that may be. It all depends on how you want to approach it. Because if you in your plan decide, hey, I want to do once a month blog, think of this. That's only 12 in a year. Could it be that you are able to chunk down and you have this creativity flowing and you are able to block off 2 days worth of work and produce 12 blogs and not worry about it?
A really good point. Yeah.
Now we talk about blocked time and chunking things down. When I think of chunking things down, we do a little bit of the mountain of our goal every day. And what I'm proposing with content batching is that you lock everything else away and sequester yourself to do this one thing and not think of anything else but the content creation.
And that one chunk.
And that
I think they're related personally. I think
Yeah.
chunking and batching is related. You go, okay, I need to get this done. This is the next chunk of my business. And they can be crumbs. It doesn't have to be major tasks. And you say, okay, this is the next thing I'm going to accomplish. And I'm going to batch this time, this focus time to get it done.
And from experience, I know that it seems a little overwhelming to think about that because at first, well, when you batch it, it forces you to think ahead. Sometimes there's not very much clarity in thinking ahead. Some people come to me and it's like, well, I don't know what's supposed to happen in November. But based off of what message you want to convey, is that you can get that out of your head and onto paper and get it prepped. But here's the thing. And then I have people saying, well, I don't know what's happening in the world at that time, and maybe that's not what I want to talk about. Well, you know what? You have this created and it can always be rescheduled for a better time.
And it's also about you. Yes, you have to pay attention to what's happening in the world. But like you said, Gayla, one of the best things for this or any chunking or batching of any part of your business, write down what the year typically looks like for your business and for you. Like you referenced HVAC. What are the key things that happen January, February, March, April? And what could you share? Something comes up, great. Reschedule, update that. April, something happens in April. I don't know. There's a weather shift. And you want to make people aware of some things. Move things out. Nothing is written in stone, but it's better to have the batch and the chunks done than not.
When you do that same type of work and have your thought processes just go when you batch in that way, and you're doing all of your blog posts in this example all at once, then you create themes in content and they can flow better. I keep saying flow because that's all.
That's what life's about.
That's what life's about. But then you can have better story development, more cohesive messaging. You're going from one thought to the other, and it just makes it more cohesive. I can't tell you how much less stress it is. Like during the time that I'm batching, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I really want to be doing something else right now because I've already done like 2 of the 3 things that I wanted to do. Maybe if I just stop and do it later. It gets easier the more that you do it. I have a client that I work with. Her authority content is video. Once she creates that video, then it comes to my team and I, and we will do all the things and we batch our work. But to get her to think ahead a month or 2 at a time for her content, it's really a struggle. And it seems like we're always last minute on getting that video and then trying to produce. Because when my team and I produce content, we are thinking a minimum a month at a time. Recently, she had a video that we were able to cut into 4 different pieces, and there were 4 different topics. We were able to produce 4 months worth of content all at once. Now, getting that all together, that was a time period of, oh my gosh, this is grueling because we're getting it together. But now we're in a moment of we're able to concentrate on other important things that we need to do for her business. When you batch one thing, your authority content, that frees up time to where you can concentrate on other things.
Totally agree. I think it's the way forward. If you don't get something done, you can't get to the next thing. And I've said this before, I think multitasking is a myth. I think it doesn't exist. I think it's one of the many wrong messages we are taught in life, whether it be school or work or otherwise. And when you focus on one task and knock it out, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That applies here in batch and chunking. That means you're giving something your 100%. Rule of 100% applies here. There's so many things we've talked about. You'd be amazed at how much quicker something gets done. Now there's that consistency. And if you have this one thing done and it was done consistently, and now, like you said, you move on to your website, you have this tone and voice now that you know what your website should say, what it should look like, what it should feel like. We've talked a lot about people who don't know where to start with content authority pieces. There's also the other side where they have a lot of content. They have been writing or they have been doing stuff for a really long time. They have years and years of content, and they're equally as overwhelmed to go, where do I even start? And that's where, for those people, you pick a topic, you pick a batch. Let's stick with the HVAC. You know what? My specialty is actually air conditioners. And I know a bunch of great tricks for people who live at the ocean and have to deal with ocean air. I have great tips for people who live in the mountains, who are in high altitudes. So you know what? I'm going to focus on writing a series about air conditioning, or maybe even pick one of those topics. I'm going to write a few pieces on people who live at the ocean or people in high altitudes. That's the way that you can say. And then it's funny, you get one done, and sometimes in the midst of that batch, the next one comes up that's connected. Just as the content itself is now consistent, you're like, ooh, I know what the next piece, the next batch could be. And you like make this little note like, okay, next is this batch. It just has its own power. And to the word that we've been using, flow, that just trying this unleashes just it's like the biggest release. Like once you just, and all the first step is pick that batch. Know the chunk you want to work on and pick that batch, that focus topic, set that one time this month, pick a date. We have plenty of time left in them every month to pick a date, 1 hour, whatever it may be, and just start.
And you know what the most empowering thing of it is, and in this case, we're talking about blog. You write the blog, you do all the things of maybe you go ahead and do the featured image. Maybe you even go ahead and write social posts that kind of correspond with it. But then you get it into your system, maybe your WordPress. I'll just go back to just putting your blog into WordPress and scheduling that future date that it's supposed to publish, and do that in our example for a quarter. So 3 times. If your blog publishing schedule is once a month and your blog time this month is Friday, your whole day that's all you're going to concentrate on is 3 blogs. When you finish writing it, you look it over, you edit it, do what you need to, get that featured image, put it in your WordPress, and then put that future date, and it's scheduled. It is behind you. It is behind you. You literally do not have to think about it. Again, you do that 3 times. You are 3 months ahead. Then on your calendar, a month before that last one is to publish, you do 3 more, and you do the writing, get that featured image, put it in your WordPress, then you put that future date. To have that release and that weight, you literally can feel that weight lifted
I feel it right
off of
now.
you.
We're not actually writing anything.
Right?
Yeah.
It is the most amazing feeling ever. Just that one thing. And then when you get addicted to that feeling, you're going to find ways to utilize that in other areas. And when I teach with Scrivener Social, just in that social media realm, it's the same type of thing. We have like social media magic day or whatever. That is the same kind of concept. The concept of blocking off a period of time to do a month's worth of social media. It's the same type of thing. It's content creation in batch work. And when you actually put it in your scheduling system with that future date, and then you leave, you don't have to think about it for another month.
The list maker in me is celebrating, as you said, that feeling of pushing that button to be like, it's the first one is scheduled. It is that lottery. It is that gold medal. It is that crossing something off your list. Oh, it feels so good. I can feel it in my body as we talk about this. And the other part is what you will come out with, and you don't even realize it, is your groove, your process. When you hit that first button, pause for a minute and go, okay, what did it take to get here? Okay, what works for me? I got to get my coffee. Sorry, I'm such a coffee person. I want
Me
to
too.
sit. There's a certain desk or chair or whatever that I sit in. There's like a little, for me, I have like a little ritual to set myself up to write. I set a certain timer because I know my creative area, but I learned all this. The reason I know this is because I did it a few times and I've done this process that you're talking about. Now I know my groove and I know how to do it. And your groove will change. Your process will change because every time you do it, when you become open to trying, you're open to receiving new information and new ways of doing things and new learning. But oh man, as you said that, I could see the button in my WordPress. It's like the best feeling to be like, boom, done. Or on social, approved for next month or next
Yep.
quarter or whatever you're planning. We do quarters at a time.
It is a wonderful thing. But I want to caution if you've not batched, if you want to move away from the stress, you created the plan and a publication schedule instead of having that stress of last minute, get it up there and go, and you're moving toward batching. Start small. Don't think that I am going to do in an 8-hour time frame, I am going to do 15 blog posts with social and this, that, and the other. Be reasonable. That's where the chunking down comes, but be reasonable. Once you do this, when you batch this way, it can feel a little overwhelming because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do 3 of these at one time.
Yeah, set yourself up for success. Be realistic. Yep.
Right? Yeah, set yourself up for success because you get faster at it. Because when you start doing the same things at once, that's where your efficiency comes in. And in the creative process and using the tools and stuff, sometimes you have to tweak things. Like for me, for example, sometimes I need to work at my desk. And then sometimes it's like, okay, I get stuck. So I take my laptop somewhere else so that I can get the ideas flowing. So sometimes for me, it's just a change of pace or a change of space around me, but I'm still doing the batch work. Be creative and be gentle. Like with any new exercise, it's going to be hard at first, but I guarantee you the stress level, when you start thinking ahead for your own business, it alleviates so much stress in the moment because you've pre-thought what you wanted to say. And then it's just a matter of just doing your everyday life, your everyday clients in the meantime, having those retreats, if you will, or batch. It's that planned focus time. Put those blinders on and extreme focus time. And when you make that appointment with yourself, make the appointment and make sure you show up. And that is another battle. I mean, when you elevate yourself and say, this is it, I deserve to have less stress down the line, so I need to do this today. So
Totally agree.
I appreciate everyone listening today. I hope that you take our advice, and if you're stumbling on keeping up with a production schedule, try batching and not worry about the publication schedule that you created for yourself. Don't stress out about that. Batch your work and make your content creation easier. Do you have any final words, Miss Fran?
Just that once again, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Pick your starting point and give it a go and be gentle on yourself. If it doesn't go just so the first time, that's okay. Reward the fact that you tried, that you started. You got this. Whoever you are listening to this and whoever's decided to take that step, we believe in you and you got this, and go get them.
That's right. Remember, every successful journey begins with that first step. So don't let the start stop you from pursuing your dreams and creating the business and life you desire. Until next time, we encourage you to live full and work fun.